The facts matter.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Snoop4Truth. It is December 6, 2019, and today we are going to be discussing someone by the name of Debra Jones. Debra Jones is another one of those individuals that we look into kind of like, April or June, a lot of the Moors, almost everybody in the Sovsit movement who considers themselves to be a guru. Yeah, another one of those, folks. And this one is a humdinger, let me tell you. But I'm actually going to start this particular Snoop4Truth out with this disclaimer that Snoop actually has on the forum that he posts on, which will be linked in the description of this video. Snoop4Truth is a legal expert and whistleblower who exposes online hoaxes. Snoop4Truth did not reveal this information to harm Debra Jones. Instead, Snoop4Truth revealed this information solely to reduce the catastrophic damage that such intentional fraud inflicts upon the American people every single day. Had it not been for Debra Jones' role in this hoax with Rod Class, Snoop4Truth would not have revealed this information here. Snoop also goes on to say that the message that he has to all charlatans and hoaxers is to just tell the truth. The truth does not fear investigation. Only lies fear investigation. The truth can be supported by using the truth. Only lies must be supported by using hoaxes and other lies. There is no such thing as a good reason to intentionally defraud the American people, not even to make a popular and sensational conspiracy theory appear to be true. Moving forward, let's take a look at the Debra Jones hoax. So what we're currently looking at is the Pro Trust Academy Debra Jones course. And as you can see, this lovely blue flyer here is advertising for a seminar that is being provided at this time in 2014 by Debra Jones. Status and Standing by Debra Jones with a 2-day and 5-day class in Yelm, Washington, November 29th through December 5th at the Prairie Hotel Conference Room, 9 a.m. to 7:30 p.m. Register at ProTrustAcademy.com. And then you see that it actually takes you down to this beautiful blue flyer that claims that she's a former police officer and former real estate attorney. I mean, I don't know how many different types of attorney this woman has claimed she is. I think she's a little like Judge Anna Von Reitz, who claims 9 different types of being a judge. It's absolutely crazy. It says Debra Jones will help sleeping giants spring forth from Admiralty maritime water and wake up on dry land. A little bit further down, it claims status and standing, and she will guide you through the system she knows all too well. Find out more at her website, ProTrustAcademy.com. Link will be in the description to this. Next, we have a something off of Angel for Light Begins. It was streamed live on September 19th of 2014. And the quote is, "This will be one of the most valuable adventures into sovereignty shows we have yet aired. Don't miss the seasoned expert as she shares sovereignty secrets with Rebecca Cope, Andrew Barthez, and Debra Jones." Debra Jones is a former policewoman and former lawyer with a martial arts background. A woman small in stature, she learned how to take the strongest person down first. She uncovered more and more in the courts and in the administrative agencies. She will share, number 1, 4 ways to take down the system without firing a shot and without going to war. Number 2, stop signing documents and stop pushing their paperwork around. How to stop joining the flesh with the paper. Number 3, trusts and being its own jurisdiction. Number 4, the power of the notaries and why you might want to form a team of notaries. Number 5, understand how to make your own license, registration, live birth certificate, passport, how to make your own proper paperwork that the system understands. So the next piece of information is a comment that was made by someone who is very concerned with regards to the teachings of Debra Jones. So as you can see, this is Debra Jones' course on trusts is flawed and empty. If you actually go down to the, hi Maisie, if you actually go down to the third, oh, she's talking to us. She rarely talked about trusts until the end, and then she pitched her students her additional services ranging from a few hundred to several $1,000s, depending on what you wanted. Again, this is typical of what we see with these individuals. Again, this link will be in the description for you to take a look at yourself. This is off of Reddit. Let's move on. There's a couple of more things I'd like for you to take a look at with regards to this person. Okay, so this is another comment that was made 3 years ago with regards to Dr. Debra Jones, Pro-Trust Academy. Again, another concerned person. She now claims she is a doctor. Is she really both a lawyer and a doctor? She does not speak like either a lawyer or a doctor. Just watched her videos here at the ProTrustAcademy.com link. She even sounds like she is slightly drunk. So let's talk about the facts. Most of you know who Rodney Class actually is. Some of you know him as Rodney Dale Class. Others of you know him as simply Rod Class. Some people know him as Judge Dale. On July 8th, 2014, in episode 869 of Class's radio show, Class purported to bring in a legal insider as a guest and introduced her as a, quote, former attorney and, quote, former law enforcement officer, Debra Jones. If you click on the actual radio show, which will be located in the description of this video, that's dated 7/8 of 2014, it is simply unbelievable. Note that for obvious reasons, this radio show has since been taken down. Not surprisingly, during this 2-hour and 43-minute radio show, Jones made the same type of utterly delusional amateur claims about the law and legal system that Class himself makes. But unlike Class, Jones also claimed that, number 1, as a law enforcement officer, she and her fellow officers did nothing but intentionally break the law to intentionally harm the public, and that 2, as a former attorney, she, the judges, the prosecutors, and her fellow attorneys did nothing but intentionally break the law to intentionally harm the public. This show was simply unbelievable. As a side note, please note that during the same interview, Debra Jones claimed that the Police Benevolent Association was grooming her to be President of the United States. In some seminars, Jones also claims to be a doctor. In fabricating still more of her background, Jones also claims to be a former congressional aide to a congressman who is now conveniently dead, making verification of this claim almost impossible. Finally, Jones claims to be from Washington, D.C. instead of Washington State, where she is actually from, as an inside joke on the American people and to throw investigators off of her trail. It seems that no lie is too big for Debra Jones to tell. Class's radio audience was understandably shocked and horrified by the claims of Jones, who they genuinely believed was a real legal insider, a real former police officer, and a real former attorney, who was actually telling them the truth. This radio show became an internet sensation, much to the delight of Class and Jones, because it successfully incited the hatred and outrage that it was intended to incite. I'm going to put a link, a WordPress link, down in the description that you can click on to read the comments of the victims of this hoax. And they are simply unbelievable. Regretfully, the jhaines6wordpress.com that will be in the description has since actually been taken down. There was only one problem. The whole thing was one big hoax. Before putting her on his internet radio show, Class already knew that Jones was not a legal insider, was not a former law enforcement officer, and was not a former attorney. In fact, Class already knew that Jones was every bit the fraud and charlatan that he was. Otherwise, he would not have had her on his show in the first place, which does nothing but peddle hoaxes and utterly delusional amateur legal theories. Let's talk about Jones for just a moment. Jones's real name is actually Debra Jenks Jones. Jones was born 5/29 of 67 and is now 52 years old. Jones lives in Paulia, Pierce County, Washington State. This is why so many of her seminars conveniently are held near Yelm, Washington State. Jones has never had a professional license of any type from any state, which means that she was never an attorney or doctor anywhere at any time. This is why Jones will not reveal the name of the law school from which she allegedly graduated or the name of the state from which she allegedly received her licenses to practice law. Jones was never a law enforcement officer. This is why Jones will not reveal the names and locations of the law enforcement agency or agencies at which she was allegedly so employed. Jones was never being groomed by the Police Benevolent Association to be President of the United States. This is why Jones will not reveal the names of the people who allegedly groomed her, the places where she was allegedly being groomed, and the means by which she was being groomed. Jones still solicits and collects money from her victims for seminars by fraudulently claiming to be a former police officer and a former attorney. She often also claims to be a doctor. Let's take a listen to what Jones has to say about herself.
Lose my life in the process of doing all of that. And this was where the martial arts came in from, because when I got into the police department, my martial arts instructor said, I don't know why you feel the need to get into this police department. There's no need for you to do that. But whatever you do, don't fire a single shot. So I said, okay, well, in order for me to do that, you need to teach me how to be the baddest woman on the block. That's just it. There's no way that I can come in and take out a suspect without taking him down, hand to hand. So he says, I'll teach you that. But whatever you do not get drawn into something that is not of your nature. At the time, I didn't know what that was until much later on. Then I realized he's talking about being drawn into someone else's fight, to someone else's being a bully or bodyguard for someone else, and you don't approve of their tactics. So that's what the police department is. The police department is protecting the fraternal order. That is their order. That's what they do. Another name that you can call it is, enforcing policies for the corporation. So there's really not much validity there. What I thought I was doing was protecting the people, and you're right, but instead it was protecting the order. I call it the order. It's a fraternal order because you took an oath, or should I say we took an oath. So Anyways, I used that as a stepping stone for me to get ahead, what I needed to do to accomplish, to define what was this organization that my mother was part of, or better yet, most of my parents at the time. More, was more. My mother seemed to be more strung out on this organization than my father were. So that's what led me to keep focused. Anyhow, the point of it that I wanted to say was I needed to get in and to find out what this whole system was about, so that I can educate people, should I be alive, to educate them, to tell them how to defeat this system. And it's not so much about defeating it, it's just how to exit the matrix, and what was it all about, and how did it ensnare us all. So that was my motivation, and I stuck with that plan. I had a lot of deviation, I had a lot of distraction, but ultimately I stayed on course. So I got into the police department, became an attorney, and I did those things, and I got out. And in the process, I was being groomed to be a congressman, a congressional member, or Senate, or better yet, the president of the United States. I thought that was a tall order at the time. But because of my ability to learn and to adequately, I was very good at reading and comprehending things. So they wanted me to be a constitutional attorney. They said that I would have been one of the best that this country would have ever seen. I got on the legislative board of Senator Moynihan. And when I was able to do that, I was able to accompany him every so often to Washington, D.C. It is when I got the firsthand look about how they really do business in Washington, D.C. inside. And when I saw how they really did business, I thought, oh my God, this is not what I really signed up for at all. And so I really don't want to be part of this. But I also have to play my cards. So I don't want to be a part of this for indefinite. I certainly don't want to get a snail for the rest of my entirety. So what is my advantages here, and how can I keep my eye on a prize and save my sanity? So I had to do a lot of things, and martial art was the epitome for me to keep me grounded and to keep me moving forward, and to remind me why I was doing all of this, for the very reason that I am here today.
This person is fairly unbelievable. I don't know whether this is a narcissistic complex alone, or whether there is truly another mental condition going on here. But if you take a look at one of the videos that'll be posted in the description for you, under Pro-Trust Academy, and there you see a picture of Debra Jones. The actual description of the video reads, Debra Jones is a disciplined martial artist, a former police officer, and former real estate attorney. Growing up in the nation's capital, Debra developed an astute ability to observe and discern that she was in a place of massive influence and power. At a young and impressionable age, she desired to have what she was observing. Isn't that interesting? Here's the description of another one of her videos from the Pro-Trust Academy 3-day class in Yelm, Washington. Peaceful non-compliance, living trust, and irrevocable trust. I'm fairly certain that the majority of the subscribers to the Virgo Triad channel already know that it's a state crime to impersonate an attorney or a law enforcement officer. But perhaps some of the Sovsits and Moors need to pay a little closer attention to that. I'm showing these articles simply because Snoop wanted for everybody to actually be aware that people get caught a lot for impersonating law enforcement officers and attorneys. If you'd like to take a look into some more of these articles, the links, of course, will be in the description of this video. Most people are also aware that fraud by wire, radio, or television is actually something that you need to look out for also. But of course, again, we have these movements of individuals, including Debra Jones and Rodney Dale Class, that evidently, as much as they claim to know law, just simply seem to skip over the things that they don't find relevant. It is a federal felony to use a means of interstate commerce like the internet, U.S. mail, or a telephone to commit fraud, like soliciting money for seminars or classes, by fraudulently claiming to be a former attorney, former police officer, or by fraudulently claiming to be a private attorney general who can train others to become the same. As the majority of you already know at this point, Snoop is a legal expert. And so he put together a few things that I think people are going to find important, especially victims who have been scammed in this manner. What you can do. Victims who have paid for such fraudulent seminars or classes may recover 3 times their money back in a federal RICO civil action, plus attorney fees and costs, and such victims may also recover punitive damages for fraud and misrepresentation in the same action under state law. But you must file the civil suit before the deadline expires. If you're such a victim of Debra Jones or Rod Class and you wish to file charges, then immediately contact the federal prosecutor's office nearest you before the deadline expires. This is not just for the people that Snoop exposes. People that were scammed by April Lejeune, for example, are able to do the exact same thing. And this is actually what has been suggested for those victims to do. Side note, Debra Jones pretends to be a former policewoman, former attorney, and doctor, while Rodney Dale, quote unquote Judge Dale, or otherwise known as Judge Dale, Class pretends to be a former federal judge named Judge Dale, a private attorney general in the 14th Amendment, Section 4 bounty hunter. The world of these charlatans is the world of pretending, make-believe, and hoaxes, and nothing more. Another side note Snoop says is note also that Rodney Dale, Judge Dale Class, is Debra Tavares' partner in all her legal hoaxes, not her non-legal hoaxes. Interesting, isn't it, how they all run together? Another side note from Snoop, Rodney Dale, Judge Dale Class likely has Debra Jones' telephone number and other contact information since she appeared on his radio show via telephone call. So you may be able to reach Debra Jones through Rod Class. Conclusion. Debra Jones is not a former police officer and is not a former real estate or asset protection attorney. Similarly, she is not a doctor. Debra Jones is just another charlatan and poser who pretends to have inside information that she does not have. She is just another liar and imposter who pretends to reveal imaginary wrongdoing that never actually occurred. As was the case with her partner in this hoax, Rodney Dale, Judge Dale Class, her purpose in this hoax was to make Americans think that their justice system was completely illegitimate, invalid, illegal, unconstitutional, immoral, unjust, corrupt, and to otherwise incite hatred and violence against innocent Americans.